are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers.
Oh, there we go! They caught!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside of Hershey's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Welcome to Texas, and welcome to Circuit of the Americas for round number 3 of the iRacing Le Mans Series. Third round of the championship as we are getting ourselves ready for 60 minutes worth of racing here today around this 20-corner racetrack, which, well, you either love it or you hate it. In terms of the Tilke track, some people call it the best one that he's done. The uphill climb towards that very tight turn number 1, the passing opportunity down at turn 12, the Turkey-esque turn 16, 17, 18, that triple apex right-hander that caught out, of course, one of what could have been the best passes of last year's F1 season. Make sure you stay inside the track limits, guys. But it's also a track that can be punishing on drivers. Robinson along with Jack Styles in the build-up for this one. And well, Jack, this track is one that, again, you love it or you hate it, but it's a beautiful day here at Circuit of the Americas.
It is indeed, and we were saying just before we went live, it looks absolutely beautiful here at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. And of course, this circuit, I personally, I'm not that massive a fan of it. I find it a bit awkward to drive. It's very tight and fiddly. In a car that's got a lot of downforce, like these LMP1 machines, which we're going to see today, it is a lot of fun. Lapping cars coming through that SS section at the start of the lap, whoa, that really gets your adrenaline going. In a slower car, GT car, look more towards your 911 Cup car, it's a little bit less interesting because it's a lot harder to drive. But yes, Circuit of the Americas is always a circuit which is either a favourite with drivers or drivers just turn around and go, no, I'm not even going to bother.
Before we go any further, since we just mentioned LMP1, can we just take a moment to applaud Porsche? I mean, I saw the onboard lap they did at the Nordschleife. 5:19.546. Wow.
I was hoping for a sub 5 minute actually, but that onboard lap, if you haven't seen it, it's on Porsche's Facebook page. It is worth checking out because it shows how quick that car is. It shows how good Timo Bernhard is as well around that circuit. I don't think that record is going to be touched for a long time. Seems it took Porsche 35 years to break their own record.
I'll tell you one thing. If they added another gear to the car, they could break sub 5 easily. I mean, that the only thing is that you look down at Dottinger Hoyt. I mean, that thing was getting up to 225 miles an hour, but then it couldn't actually physically go any faster. And I'd love to know if that was because of the tyres, because of the optimal setup, but I think they lost a good 5-6 seconds there. They lost a second and a half easily at the carousel because they had to go on the outside bit, and you can see him kind of tippy-toeing around there.
Yeah, I think I agree, actually. If they'd had an 8th gear in that car, it would have gone, I believe, a lot quicker. Obviously, there is physics that plays into this, and hey, that car, it's not a small car. Okay, an LMP1 car is quite a small car compared to a GT car, but it's got quite big wings and everything. It's built for downforce. It's built for going around corners extremely quickly. And yes, the carousel was somewhere where they did lose a lot of time. If they could just get rid of those little niggles, Will, a sub 5-minute lap is on the cards at the Nordschleife.
Let's have a look at your starting grid for this round number 3 of the championship. Let's start off then with LMP1, and it's Tom Michael Moore that gets himself pole position, 142.337. Patrick Wall, second place, 700ths or a second back. Ashley Owen in third, and Fabrice Cornelius in fourth place. Then Victor Prato, Daniel Petterfield, Mark Perez, Joel Guez are your top 8. 11 drivers over in LMP1. Head ourselves back a little bit, and you can see them as we go and have a look in LMP2. It's Carlo Labatti, Antti Levoska, Andre Castro, Jacob Lehman. I don't know what I'm talking about in some cases right now. Yep, Carter Kuninga, Jared van Langveld in the number 34 car in 6th. Kevin Chalk and Daniel Newman rounding out your top 8. And we head ourselves back. Third class, and we see that Jenny Vietcho then, pole position, 158.350. Rebecca Pauline then second place, Antti Chero third, Kevin Ziggy in fourth, Vincenzo Silvestri in P5, Pablo GoPro Lopez in sixth, Yunus O. Vastamaki in seventh place, Miko Malkilia in eighth. And then there's the rest of that grid coming up on your screen right about now. Section number 1, turn number 1 is going to be the tough thing here today. Make sure you get yourself through that one as good as you can. Drivers then just working themselves on their, what is a shortened pace lap here for obvious reasons. We have got ourselves a fantastic onboard circuit situation, shall we say, for you today. We've got ourselves Fabrice Cornelius, who is going to be our onboard driver. There you can see him. We'll be riding along with him all well, not all afternoon long, Jack, but for part of the afternoon.
Indeed so, and it's going to give you, the viewer, a good insight into what it's like here at Circuit of the Americas, lapping the slower traffic. We did it at Road Atlanta with Marcus Hamilton, if I remember correctly, the Thrustmaster Movano driver, not here today, not making the trip to Texas. But Fabrice Cornelius, always one you have to watch in the LMP1 class. But your pole sitter, Tom Micklemore, first pole of the season for him.
Yep, so the teams are now just working themselves last couple of corners before we get ourselves ready for green flag racing here at Circuit of the Americas. Don't forget, of course, the iRacing Esports Network launches on Monday. That's Monday. You're on iRacing Live. You're on, we're going to talk about it over the course of the broadcast. Here are the LMP1 cars, though, heading themselves out of turn 20. Getting ourselves ready for racing here at Circuit of the Americas. Green flag in the air. Let's go then, boys. 1 hour starts now.
The pipe carries in. Green, green, green.
Well, we've got ourselves green flag then from your LMP1, LMP2 field working themselves through turn number 2, and now here comes GTE storming up the hill for the first time. We do apologise, we do seem to have ourselves an issue where we're getting noise that we shouldn't be having from Fabrice. We'll try and sort that one out as quickly as we can. But in the meanwhile, let's focus on the race for a moment, because Tom Micklemore is leading the way right now. He's got himself already a 1.1 second advantage over Fabrice, who's moved up 2 places in the early going here, Jack.
Yeah, caught that one while it happened. He just looks as though he got the better line into turn number 1. Did his teammate of Patrick Wolf and Victor Prato, Tom Micklemore, has had issues by the looks of it. No, it's not. It's just my timing screen's going a little bit funny. But yes, Fabrice Cornelius managed to move himself up from 4th into 2nd on that start, and that's what he needs to do, because COTA is a very hard circuit to pass that, and getting it done on turn 1 of lap 1 is always one to do it.
Yeah, having a look back in terms of LMP2, it is a little bit closer at the front of your field. There we are. And Carlo Batti versus Anthony Vosca, then battle for your race lead is 7/10 of a second right now. Also got battle going on between Carter Krunginger and Jacob Lehman, and that is for 4th place on track.
Indeed so, and it's this LMP2 battles that you have to watch very closely. It's a single mate class, just one chassis available in that one compared to the 2 for LMP1 and the 3 for GTE. So the HPDs are always interesting to watch, and this LMP2 class does provide some great racing. Carlo Labate, he is a driver who has been very fast throughout the season so far, currently showing that, and Antti Lavoska as well. Your 1st and 2nd place in that P2 class, always 2 drivers which will have a good scrap at the front of your field.
Yeah, indeed. Lap number 1 complete then here at Circuit of the Americas. We are going to stop then just for 20 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to sort out this sound issue. We'll be back very, very quickly. Well, Matt, ladies and gentlemen, apologies about that one. We said it was 20 seconds, maybe closer to 25, 30. But the good news is we have got all but 1 car circulating on track right now. Live timing and scoring will be available in just 1 moment's time. Having a look at 3rd place then in your GTE division, on board with the driver of Vincenzo Silvestri then. Oh, that was a big move there. He goes down to the inside, up into P number 2. That's a power play, Jack.
Indeed, so that's always a corner which you can get. If you can get the move done, you're going to cement yourself into the position for this long straight. Do not forget this is an extremely long straight at Circuit of the Americas. And if you look Anticiero in that Ford, 2 Fords going side by side for position number 2 as they come down into that final complex. And it just looks as though Vincenzo Silvestri has managed to hold onto it. Rebecca Pauline as well, trying to challenge for 3rd position. But yes, if you can get your move cemented into turn number 11 onto that back straight, you've got a good chance of holding onto it, Will, because the driver that you've just tried to pass and probably left on the outside of the corner has managed to ruin his rhythm.
Yeah, indeed so. So, this is the situation as we are right now. We are onto our 3rd lap here at Circuit of the Americas. Live timing and scoring is working now. So go to raceball.tv/timing to check that one out. Of course, that'll be up for the entirety of our event. Now, having a look further ahead in your field, it is close right now between Practic Wolf and Fabrice Cornelius. They are scrapping it out for 2nd place in LMP1.
They are indeed. 2 teammates going for it as well. Obviously, Fabrice Cornelius got that incredible start on lap number 1. Managed to get his way past 2 cars before they'd even finished 1 corner. Coming down into turn number 12 for the 3rd time. Not going to be long before they start hitting traffic. The rear end of your GTE field is only now entering and exiting turn number 1. So they've only got about probably 2 kilometers before they start getting traffic. Lap or 2 as well. So the traffic is obviously going to play into this one. Traffic management is always important here at Circuit of the Americas, but Patrick Wolf and Fabrice Cornelius always have a good battle. Obviously, 2 Pure Racing team teammates. I think they're just going to want to be working together to try and close that gap to the Team Bushwink Racing driver of Tom Mickelmore, who is still continuing to lead this motor race.
Yeah, Team Bushwink Racing. I'll tell you one thing. Bushwink have been one of the silent teams in many ways in terms of your LMP1 division. Not a lot of people would have thought they'd been where they are at the start of the LMP1 coming on to iRacing, but it's really good to see them as we see Victor Breto then versus Daniel Benefield. Breto outside, Benefield inside, in towards 1. Nothing happened. Let's move on, shall we then? So, turn number 1, of course, it is a fantastic overtaking opportunity, but it's one of these ones that is almost overused. Drivers do get used to it, and they just hold the middle of the racetrack rather than darting out to the outside to basically make that overtaking lane available to them. On board now, 3rd place in your GTE class, Anticiero battling it out with Vincenzo Silvestri, of course, who we saw a moment ago make a big, bold move to get himself up into 2nd place. You've got Rebecca Pauline in 4th place right now, and Pablo Lopez in P number 5. Down a little bit in your GTE field. Nice little 4-way scrap going on right now. Walter Guther, Miko Makilia, Xavier Sanchez, and Bastien Ramiz battling out for P number 6 through P number 9.
Indeed so, and that is going to be a battle you need to watch. Will Tregurtha, to say he's a bit of an expert in GT machinery would probably be an understatement. I know I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to mention it again. He is the 2017 British GT4 champion, currently running in European GT4, and I think he's actually up at the front of that series at the moment, up in the top 3 in the points, so Will is always one you have to watch. Also, recent move to Thrustmaster Movano Racing is going to boost up their driver lineup even more, so good to see Will Tregurtha making a name for him, not only in the real world but also in sim racing. He is of course leading this pack, but behind actually you've got to watch out for Bastien Remez in the number 8 car. He's currently in 9th position, Will, but he's up 5 places where he started. He is your biggest mover and shaker in your GTE field so far, and in fact in your whole race.
Yeah, and it's interesting to ride on board of Bastien right now, because he could in theory battle to get towards the top 5. The issue is Will Tregurtha is already 1.8 behind Pablo Lopez. So anyone that wants to have a look at the top 5 today needs to get a move on in some ways and start negotiating some of this traffic.
Indeed so, and I think for Bastien Remez, he's obviously got to navigate the 3 cars ahead of him, also get himself past Pablo Lopez, and Pablo Lopez is never really an easy driver to pass. Looking at the lap times last time around there, he was 6/10 quicker than Will Tregurtha, and he was around a second quicker than Bastien, so I'd probably say for these guys, getting at that top 5, they're going to have a bit of attrition play into this GTE field. Your leader at the moment in this field, though, Gianni Vecchio, he qualified on pole, and he's currently walking away with it.
Oh yeah, gap is 5.3 seconds already. We'll show you your top 3 in each of your class in a couple of moments' time. We're on board with Gerald van Langveld right now, number 34 machine from Club Benelux, in towards 1. He's got Kevin R. Chalk ahead of him on track. Don't forget, of course, you can get social with us here on Racebot TV, /Racebot TV on Facebook, at Racebot TV on the Twitter machines. There's no World Cup football, if I'm correct today, Jack, so people might actually be watching our broadcast for once.
That'd be nice. I mean, obviously people, of course, want to watch race cars going around a circuit than watching 22 millionaires kick some pig around a field. That's always more exciting than kicking pig around a field, in my view. But, of course, battle for position number 6 in HPD. Van Langeveld had a look through the S's. It's not one of my recommended passing spots, that section of the course, I must say. Turn 11, turn 12, or turn 1 is usually my recommendation. Don't try turn 20. I tried that. No, it doesn't end well. But, of course, COTA is always a very hard circuit to pass. It's like Road Atlanta that we saw last week, Will. It's a very challenging circuit. But if you can get it right and you can get it spot on, you are going to be doing very, very well.
Although you do know I'm going to fine you every time we say HPD from now on.
Oh, great.
It's a car, not a class. Oh, look at that one into 12. Almost. Langeveld then trying to go down to the inside, was not quite able to do it, but that was a close one. So also you have got Patrick Nettershield, Daniel Newman, and William Cochran then all in this 5-car battle.
Indeed so, and it just looks as though everyone is, I'd probably even say that LMP2 class is actually, maybe they need to settle down a little bit. It's still a long way to go. 50 minutes remaining in this 1-hour race, of course. But to see guys going head-to-head and actually seeing such a balanced class is great to see. LMP2 always does provide some great racing. Battle for second in GT is still going on. And Titiero hasn't been able to regain the position he lost to Vincenzo Silvestri. He's going to try into turn number 15. Got extremely close, just not able to do it through that triple right-hander. And actually, the triple right-hander in an LMP1 car, Will, is flat. In one of these GTEs, you probably just heard it with Rebecca Pauline's Porsche. You do have to lift off. And you have to lift off quite a lot to be able to make the third part of that corner.
Yeah, of course, drivers have an incident limit in any official series. And while you can, in theory, take it flat out and end up on the painty bits on the outside, A, you lose time, B, you'll end up disqualified from the race.
Yeah, obviously 17 incident points, and it does creep up on you, especially at Circuit of the Americas. Your LMP1 field is currently in the midst of traffic with your GTE field. Tom Micklemore is currently working his way through the leading pack. He's going to catch this battle for second in just a few moments, Will. And in fact, he's just clearing to position number 5. Pablo Lopez coming into the S's this time. So next cars for him is this battle for position number 2. But of course, behind him, they do have quite a big cluster of cars. Have that big battle from second down to 4th. Ashley Owen now getting involved with Patrick Wolf and Fabrice Cornelis for second position. Also battle for P number 8 going on. Kazuki Umeshima, Yorguez, and Mark Perez as Tom Micklemore approaches his way up to Anti-Tiero.
Yeah, he did. So having a look at Micklemore, actually, I mean, doing a fantastic job. We've got a car turnaround at Sayandra involved in a crash from the number 29 GTE car of Rafa Cabrera. So 2-car incident then, a multi-class incident, and that was not a decent rejoin as well there by Cyandra. Let's get ourselves a second look at this one. On board then with Cyandra. Oh my word, he tags an LMP car first. Almost. And then he just... It's one of those ones that the angle can really determine who you think is going to be blamed here. So, let's have a look from up above. Aerial coverage brought to you by And1 Design, official graphics partner of RaceSpot TV. And here we are then, into the corner. So, you've got the 2 lanes there. Pretty obvious. Cyandra on the inside, and then you've got the GTE car on the outside. That's all on Cyandra there. He clearly tries to diamond off the corner, Jack. And, I mean, where else is that GT car supposed to go?
I'd probably say nowhere for Cyandra. I mean, from looking on onboard shots of that incident, it does look as though Wim Stockmans didn't really see Cyandra coming across his nose, which is an unfortunate incident. Both cars do have damage, but yes, I would plant that one straight on Cyandra for the pure fact of it was a late lunge into a corner, and I would say that Porsche was already turning in and did have the corner. Cyandra actually going to bring himself down onto pit lane this time. I believe that car has quite a substantial amount of damage.
Yep, Kazuki Umashima just passing Mark Perez, by the way, up into 8th place in class. He's got Goguez just ahead of him, 0.2 of a second, while Kazuki Umashima trying to work himself through this LMP1 field right now. Cyandra, as we say, is now on pit road. Let's go back and have a look down in your GTE field. And, well, again, Hanji Tero has not been able to do anything as of yet over Vincenzo Silvestri. You'd have thought that maybe he could have used some of this LMP traffic as a pick, and Rebecca Pauline down to the inside. Pauline gets the job.
Indeed, so Anti-Tierra did look like he was going to try and do an undercut, and I think he might be trying to do it in the slipstream. Might be a little bit too early though, because for Rebecca Pauline, she's going to be able to pick up that draft of Vincenzo Silvestri. He is sat in the middle of these two. It's going to be a case of who's going to get on the brakes first. They are dead neck and neck. LMP1 car on the inside. That's going to actually affect Rebecca Pauline's run through the corner. She's going to lose that position back to Tianti Tierra. If that LMP1 car hadn't been there, I actually think Rebecca Pauline could have been able to fight for that position a little bit more. Just unlucky positioning with traffic, but that was very close to disaster for those two. They were neck and neck going into the braking zone.
And that's what I like to affectionately call multi-class racing tough luck. I mean, you always get luck, the worst luck, when you don't need it. It's a bit like driving around driving towards central London, Jack, and you have a red light every time. Well, the lights go red every time you get up to them. I had that happen once, 15 times in a row.
I don't have as much of an issue in Norwich, I must admit, but yeah, it's not great when you just have
cars in Norwich.
Yeah, we don't just drive tractors.
Wow. I'm back on board with Kazuki Umashima over Goguez right now. Last time by, Umashima did lose a little bit of time, 0.5 of a second. But let's have a look at Umashima. Let's have a look at his speed real quick. 130 miles an hour through the sweeps. And we have got to say, by the way, that Porsche LMP1 around the Nordschleife isn't an LMP1 car. It's what Porsche would like to be LMP1, just the ACR, like, nah, sorry.
My view of it is it's an LMP1 car on steroids, basically. It's got a massive rear wing, massive front end that looks like it's just blown up, and it goes very, very fast. I mean, was it 369 kilometers an hour for the top speed down the Dotnaho? It's incredible. Watching it go through a left-hander up a hill at 320 kilometers an hour. For those of you who work in miles an hour, that's 200 miles an hour. Not many road cars can achieve that, let alone race cars. And to see that at the Nordschleife, one, it's scary. Two, it's impressive.
To be fair, if any car took any corner at 200 miles an hour, that's a road car, I'd be worried. Unless it's a king.
Yeah, true. If it was a proper corner, I would probably argue that the road car wouldn't be coming out of the corner in one piece.
I agree.
Also, one thing that I have just spotted that I don't think you have, Will, Tom Mickelmore has lost the lead, and that's happened within the last lap or so, because my timing screens have updated. Fabrice Cornelis is now your lead leader. Tom Mickelmore is down to 3rd position.
How's this happened? So let's have a look. Okay, so this is Mickelmore into 12. We've seen Bushwick Racing car. He had traffic ahead of him at this point. I'm just trying to work out if he lost the spot before 12 or not. But he's working past some LMP2 traffic here. Goes down to the outside of one. A car that's affectionately painted like a Rebellion. So let's stay on board for a moment with Tom Mickelmore, trying to figure out where this happened. But yeah, he has lost the race lead now, down into 3rd place on track. Oh, don't tell me it's into 19.
It was, by the looks of it, it was into turn 12. Fabrice Cornelis did it on pure pace. Patrick Wolford, again, it just managed to get past on pure pace. And I think maybe that's one thing. Team Bushwick Racing are a strong team, but when you have drivers like Fabrice Cornelis and Patrick Wolf, 2 prototype masters, there's not much that Tom Mickelmore can really do with those guys. They are very sturdy and will fight, but also know these cars inside out and know how to manipulate them well.
Yeah, we have lost the ability to get the replay on that one, unfortunately. So we do apologise, but there has been an overall overall race lead change. We'll get the words out eventually here on a Friday night on RaceSpot TV. But Cornelis now leads away. Patrick Wolf in 2nd, Tom Mickelmore in 3rd place. In terms of your LMP1 division, in LMP2, it is Colorado Batty leading the way from Antti Lavoska, Andrew Castro in 3rd. But look at the gap there between Antti Lavoska and Andre Castro. I mean, that is huge there already. We're 18 minutes into this event, and that gap is 18 seconds right now.
It just points out the pace of the very fast drivers in this LMP2 field, and for some of these guys, they're just not able to stick with the same pace. Last time around, Andre Castro lost 4 seconds to Antti Lavoska. He did a 52.7 compared to Castro's 56.5, and I think that's just it's very disappointing to see. I mean, obviously, we are going to see a good battle for the lead because Carlo Labate and Antti Lavoska are split by just a second, Will, but those two already stomping away with this LMP2 lead.
Yeah, and Castro's also got a nice little battle going on behind him. That is with Carter Kundinger, and that is for 3rd and 4th place on track right now. I tell you what, Kundinger does seem to be a little bit better through the traffic right now as they run themselves towards 12. And once again, your top 3 in GTE, by the way, that is Gianni Vietri, Vincenzo Silvestri, and Antti Turo right now. So we're on board of the driver of Kundinger. Kundinger there, as you can just see the gaps open up a little bit by 2/10 of a second, but that's partially because there's traffic in play right now.
Indeed so, and Will Tregurtha as well. One thing I've just spotted, he's brought himself down onto the lane. Heavy front right damage to that number 16 Ferrari. Not sure where that happened. I would expect to also see a prototype with damage on it as well. I would guess it happened through the S's from where that car has the damage, although it could be a couple of laps old, Will. So Will Tregurtha back going away. He has the damage repairs done. Pit stop of 21.6 seconds. But for him, he can get to the end from here on this tank of fuel, but he has to do it the hard way because he has to do it with a full tank of fuel.
He does. I'm just trying to have a look then if he just brought that car on towards pit road. So this is him into turn number 19. He does bring it in towards pit road then. So yeah, he got himself some damage and he just came on towards the lane. And that's the thing a lot of drivers will do. And this is Treverka's experience coming in here. Wait until the window's open if you can nurse a car.
Yeah, and indeed so. And if he's using sort of a fuel calculator, it might be able to tell him when that pit window opens. I think in his head he'll know roughly about 15-20 minutes. These GT cars, you can just brim them and go to the end. They will do around 40 minutes on a stint in this series. Fuel is of course limited in all the classes to make sure they do get to the end. We expect to see your LMP1 field down onto the lane in the next half an hour. They only run about half an hour on a stint. It's actually 3 wide into turn number 11. Contact with Will Tregurtha. Dan Benefield, I believe, was involved, and also one of the HPDs. I think that's your 3rd place, Andre Castro. Just small contact. Everyone's going again. No damage limitation done. But yes, Will Tregurtha taking a very interesting strategy call.
Yeah, let's have a look at this one again. And this is a run through the S's. For our aerial coverage, and you notice actually our aerial coverage camera here does it very, very well, showing some of the gradient changes. But here they go, 1, 2, 3 wide into 11. That's just racing if you're Tregurtha there. That's the sort of thing you do in GTO so often.
Yeah, a little bit of door banging doesn't go amiss sometimes in GT racing, and of course they are a little bit more robust than your prototype machines. You don't really want to be having wing end plates and whatnot flying off the end because you'll have a massive reduction in downforce. For drivers who haven't driven a prototype, you'll be surprised how little changes in downforce can affect the car. And I promise you, sometimes it can be catastrophic. We've seen it in the real world. We've seen it on iRacing, and I am sure that it is not something that drivers will make the mistake of. It's not as apparent in GT cars because it's much more of a driver's car rather than a downforce car that we see in the P1 and P2 field.
Yeah, seeing that battle then for the race lead going on, looking at second place for Luis Cornelis. That is your race leader. So that is your race leader for Luis Cornelis. It's Patrick Wolf, who is a second back. That gap's opened up by 0.7 of a second this lap alone because of this traffic, and that's the whole thing. The race leader always seems to be able to get through. It's a second place driver who always has to try and find the lane, because after a while, these slower cars do get bored of being overtaken.
Yeah, for a GT driver, it can get a little bit more repetitive, especially if you're not in the midst of a battle. For Will Tregurtha, he's just on his own now, Will. He's there just collecting laps, and he's going to be making up time, trying to build up some time back towards the front of your field. He has had an extended stop, don't forget. 21.6 seconds is a long stop in this series for GTEs. So for Will Tregurtha, it's now just a race of attrition, getting it home nice and safe. No damage on the car as Carter Gungula gets his way past Andre Castro for third position in P2. And for Will Tregurtha, he's just got to be patient with the traffic, because sometimes LMP1 can make more mistakes than you think, and they can be a little bit too aggressive through the corners. We saw it at Road Atlanta, and I expect to see it at some point in the rest of the season.
Yeah, indeed. So let's have a look at this ongoing battle that was going on. There we are then. Andre Castro up into third place in LMP2, just like you were talking about that, and Carter Kundinger down into P number 4 in class. Well, actually, they tried swapping places twice in the space of 2 corners there.
It looks as though Carter got his way through and Andre managed to get back, because I saw it swap from Andre dropping to 4th. It's obviously swapped back again. There is obviously there is also a battle for third position in LMP1. Tom Mickelmore has now lost the rear of Patrick Wolf, who is currently in second place. He is currently in a battle with Ashley Owen, although Owen getting held up by GTE traffic. I believe that's one of the Porsches down in the mid-pack. I will go and find out. Oh, there's not really much point, but yes, he's getting held up in traffic quite a lot, and that's what I mean. It's all about being patient in traffic. Ashley Owen, always a master of these prototype machines, and he's doing what he needs to do. He can make that time back up in clean air, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, and as we're having a look at Mickelmore back to Ashley Owen. Now, I was about to talk about Mickelmore because he'd actually gained himself to within 4/10 of Patrick Wolf from that battle for second place in class, but the traffic's hurt Mickelmore a little bit this time around. They hurt him a little bit the first time around as well, actually, so I'm just wondering if he just doesn't like traffic in this LMP1.
Maybe so. He could be incredibly good at qualifying. He might be struggling in the traffic a little bit. Obviously, he could also just be getting the bad luck with the traffic, Will. It's not impossible. He's trying to go down for a move into turn number 15. It's not somewhere which is very good to get past. Getting past that number 9 Porsche of Miko McKeely, one of the Williams Junior drivers in this race. But Tom Mickelmore, it just maybe looks as though he is struggling with the traffic. Ashley Owen, though, a much more experienced driver in traffic, I would say, and clearly doing very well.
Castro and Kundinger were going at it again. We're actually looking at William Cocan right now and Kevin Chalk. They're coming out for 6th place in LMP2 right now. So William Cocan, looking as though he's doing a pretty nice job. There's only 10 drivers running in LMP2. I say running, and you've got Frank von Borstel. He is on track. He's in 11th, but he's basically behind half the GTE cars right now. We're not really going to include him too much, but there are lots of battles going on. This top 5, a rear party LMP2 car, LMP2 field, they really haven't separated themselves all day long. It's Castro and Kundinger again going at it. There we are, look at them, side by side. This is actually allowing Jacob Lehman to come back into play as they work towards turn 1 on board with Carter Kundinger again. These two are having a great scrap. LMP2 is the car to be again here today.
It is, and I have a feeling the class died down a little bit. It's had a bit of a second wind as I'd call it. It's great to see because they're such a brilliant car, a brilliant class to watch. Always provide close racing. You're seeing it here today as Carter Kundalinger goes on, has a look at Andre Castro. Not going to be able to get a move done through the S's, and it's not somewhere you want to be making a move. They haven't got much traffic to deal with by the looks of it. They are going to be getting to the rear of your GTE field in just a moment's time because the rear is currently exiting that turn number 11 hairpin onto the back straight, and they are now doing so as well. This has brought Jacob Lehman back into the fray, currently P number 5 in your LMP2 class, and before long, if he can get a good draft, this is going to be a three-way battle for position number 3, another two-way battle that we've seen for the last 10-15 minutes or so.
You know what? I've got a theory here. I think because there's been so many people learning the LMP1 car, when they get back to the LMP2 machine, I think they learned things that are transferable, and we've got better LMP2 drivers now as a consequence of it, or LMP2 drivers that have learned little things that you never used to see people try and make little moves like that on other LMP2 cars into 14. I mean, this I love this right now. I have to say, as Kundinger goes through the middle of the racetrack, I mean, that's not the sort of thing you want to do, but I think it's the best LMP2 racing we've had in years.
It is a long time since I've seen an LMP2 race this good. I don't think I've ever seen one this good, in fact, and it is such an exciting car to watch because they are so simple. They haven't got the hybrid systems that the LMP1 class do, but they're still a very exciting drive. And yes, if you can drive an LMP1 car fast, I can assure you can drive an LMP2 car fast, because the only difference is you don't have that mega hyper speed, almost spaceship-like acceleration that you have with that LMP1 class and the hybrid systems. Yeah,
there's a look at the front straight away. Here at Road America, I will say one thing. I don't know, because I haven't actually had the chance to read the release notes. I don't know if there has been a graphical thing done, but whoever's in charge of that sunlight, that's bloody beautiful. I just have to say, here comes Wolf over Cornelius, battling it out now for first place in class, first place overall as they head themselves from 19 towards 20. Let's then do you a little bit of a RaceSpot TV fan immersion on board with Patrick Wolf as let's go live now. Well, that's Patrick Wolf. A lap and a bit on board of him then, as Kazuki Omishima's had incidents. He's on pit road. Update, Jack, if you have one.
I'm not sure. Looks as though he's been down in the lane for about a minute. He did drive that car onto pit lane. I wonder whether he didn't have a good time out last time at Road Atlanta. I wonder whether he's had a very similar issue here. I think he did get caught up in traffic. I'm going to go and find out for you though.
Yeah, indeed so. As we're just having a look. Basically, the marshal just seems to be talking to each other. They're done. He's out of the event. Let's turn our attention over to someone else, shall we? Let's go back to GTE. Haven't talked about them for a while. Rebecca Pauline, of course. Let's not forget. Rebecca was actually overtook Angitero at one point in third place. It's all kind of changed in P2, 3, and 4 again. But Pauline running in P number 4 right now in that number 23 DX machine. I will say one thing. The cars that we're seeing right now, I mean, Pauline is ahead of GoPro Lopez by a second right now. So Pauline is a driver I've not heard of until today. But to be ahead of GoPro is an achievement in itself.
Rebecca Pauline is a very capable driver. I believe she's also one of the drivers involved in having this series run on iRacing. So full kudos to her. She's doing an excellent job in 4th position currently in class. Bit of an update on Kazuki Umeshima. He lost it on his own in turn number 14. Just a little bit too much power and not enough traction control, not enough downforce. And he went hard into the wall on the front left, if I remember correctly. That probably did give him steering damage. That is why Kazuki Umishima's day is over. And he is now tumbling back through the field, stationary on pit road for 3 minutes. And I have a feeling he's going to stay there.
Yeah, and for those of you saying, oh, well, you should have known about Pauline and helping get the series on Friday Night Prime Time, I have so many cars to look through. I'm doing a PhD and teaching 400 kids. Please leave me alone. Angitero, 3rd placer in GTE right now. Just having a look up into very close battle actually in GT LMP2. This is Carter Kundinger again and Andrea Castro again, separated by 3/10 of a second. And well, these two have been at it basically like rabbits the entire race. One on top, one underneath. One on top, one underneath.
I haven't really expected much more throughout this race between these two guys. Andre Castro is doing a great job to defend from Carter Kundinger at the moment. But Carter looking down to the inside into turn number 19. Not a place you want to really be making an overtaking move. Going down to turn number 20. He set a good move up as they make contact in turn number 20, that final corner. And actually, I think that has ruined that number 31's approach into turn number 1. I think he had a good move set up there. And Ashley Owen and Tom Mickelmore now have played back into each other. And Fabrice Cornelis, he has pitted. So LMP1 pit stops are starting, and Jacob Lehman as well down onto the lane for 5th position in LMP2.
Yeah, Kevin Chalk just lost P number 6 in LMP2. That's what we're showing the replay of there. Tom Mickelmore still 3rd place in class. Which means, yeah, he's lost position to Ashley Owen away from our screens as well. So Owen's now up into what should be in that 3rd. As here comes Wolf then onto pit road.
Yeah, Patrick Wolf bringing his car down onto the lane. Ashley Owen is going to be going for one more lap. Tom Mickelmore is going to follow him as well. But everyone's doing a little bit of a different strategy. We did see, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was Patrick Wolf who made the strategy error at Road Atlanta last time out. It was indeed, he had to pit in with 5 minutes remaining. He doesn't want to make that mistake again. 15.2 second stop. It is shorter than Fabrice Cornelis, but it is on par with Julian Ribolo, who was running in the number 22 Audi.
Can I just talk about this camera angle right now? Because you really see that elevation change in towards turn number 1, which, if I'm not very much mistaken, is I think the highest in Formula 1 after, in fact, no, it's even higher than the run from the bottom of Baton Rouge up to the top of Radion, I think.
Yeah, obviously we do have some great corners in Motorsport. We have some great camera angles as well. I must admit, again, I'm not a big fan of Circuit of the Americas, it must be said, but it is always good to watch, especially endurance racing. I do love when the World Endurance Championship makes its way here, as Patrick Wolf and Fabrice Cornelis are now with each other out on the circuit, so that, technically the lead battle, because everyone else ahead of them hasn't stopped yet, is currently going on. But Circuit of the Americas is always an exciting one to watch. And as in fact, actually, Patrick Wolf has lost 10 seconds on pit lane, Will.
Wow.
What happened there?
Yeah, you're right. No, come on. No, he's not. No, he's not. Patrick Wolf did a 39.8 second lane to lane, whereas Cornelius did a 40.9. When you translate the pit stop times, Ashley Owen and Tom Mickelmore are actually both in the lane right now. They were about equal, and there's only half a second between Cornelius and Wolf. So again, our timing screens do throw up anomalies, but we have got Ashley Owen, Tom Mickelmore, Daniel Betterfield, Victor Prater on pit road right now. We're on board also with Pablo Lopez versus Rebecca Pauline as it goes right now, and GoPro last time by 0.6 of a second faster. I'll say one other thing as well here, Jack. This is the best American Grand Prix track that we have had since Watkins Glen, and it was better than Indianapolis. I love Phoenix in its own way, but yeah. And let's not even talk about Las Vegas.
I'm not going to talk about Las Vegas, and I'm not going to talk about Indianapolis either, because that threw up a few anomalies. But yeah, seeing Formula 1 back in America with the new...
Sorry, we just had a moment there. And I think that was Ashley Owen and Tom Mickelmore. It was Ashley Owen and Tom Mickelmore. And I believe that Mickelmore got tagged by some traffic then. Let's have a look at the replay on board with Mickelmore coming out of pit road.
It was Ashley Owen, not Tom Mickelmore.
Yeah, sorry, take that back. It was Ashley Owen. Owen's actually got the position over the two of them. So let's have a look then at our aerial coverage. Into one. And yeah, somehow, I mean, that kind of helped Owen in some ways. He got the position. It's one of these things that sometimes a little bit of contact helps. Here we are, 3-1 into 1. Pause it again. And there is Tom Mickelmore. You can see he's clearly ahead by 2 car lengths there. But here's a look at Ashley Owen. We'll try and zoom that one in for you right there. And then Owen, if we can do this as slowly as we can. There we are. There's the contact. He just turned Owen the right way perfectly.
Yeah, it was one of those perfect incidents that we very rarely see in motorsport. Ashley Owen get away with that one. Very lucky. He does have some damage to the right-hand side of his car as he goes very wide through turn number 15 that time. Andre Castro going to break up temporarily that battle for position number 3 in LMP2. He's down onto the lane, and it looks as though Carter Kundinger has also been as well. So LMP2 pit stops are still underway. Your 2 leaders haven't pitted yet. Carl Labate and Antti Lavoska, they aren't separated by about 1.5 seconds anymore. That gap is now 6.5 seconds. So Carl Labate proving that he has just slightly more pace over Antti Lavoska and just building himself a little bit more lead. But again, that could be traffic.
Yeah, by the way, we'd like to give a shout out to Juan Carlos Capelin 56, and you're never going to be on this channel ever again. Sorry. Hi, Freddie Rasmussen. How's it going, by the way? We saw him in the last round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Good to see him back in there. And the FA Racing G2 car. Patrick Wolf, Fabrice Cornelius, battle for your overall race lead, separated by absolutely nothing in towards turn. Well, that's a wide one there by Patrick Wolf, as I've got a feeling that Wolf now is really on the charge. Let's actually have a look on board of him, put the speedo up. One thing I'd love our graphics to have at some point is to understand what the boost is being used on these cars, because in LMP1, it is so important. You can see he gets so close then behind Cornelius in towards turn number 12. 2 GT and an LMP2 car. Oh my word, Patrick Wolf almost run over him.
Yeah, very close to that number 27 Ava Simsport car, but Patrick Wolf cutting it a little bit thin through turn number 13. Now I'd probably say is actually one of the LMP2 cars has to get onto the outside of the circuit. Patrick Wolf compromising his run through the triple right-hander. Going to be losing a little bit of time now to Fabrice Cornelius, but your lead is separated by 0.4 of a second. Patrick Wolf is clearly on a charge. I wonder whether Fabrice Cornelius is just saving a little bit of energy, and that energy could be important, because if Patrick Wolf makes his way past, then Fabrice Cornelius does have an opportunity to get back.
Right, let's go back then. Battle in terms of GTE. On board now, Rebecca Pauline, and she gained a bit of time last time by over Anti-Tero. However, Pablo Lopez, 2/1000ths of a second faster that last time by. So, really close right now. P3, 4, and 5. P3, 4, and 5 in terms of GTE. And these guys, I will have to say, Jack, of all the races we've seen so far this season, this is the one of the closest battle, but it's really the one with the least overtaking.
Yeah, I think this GTE field is a little bit less competitive, I'd probably say, because they obviously have to worry about the prototypes have it all getting around them nice and safely. Obviously, this battle has let Vincenzo Silvestri pull away in position number 2, and Anti-Tero has nothing to answer. He's too busy defending off of Rebecca Pauline, who, as I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, is doing a great job to hold off Pablo Lopez. Lopez has closed the gap down. He has dropped back, though, this lap. Gap now 1.5 seconds. So I wonder whether Pablo Lopez is just struggling a little bit in that number 21 Ford. I would probably argue he's not, because he is an extremely capable driver. As Carlo Labate pits, and Antti Lavoska moves his way up into the lead of LMP2.
Yeah, so as we're having a look then, Antti Lavoska, let's have a look at him for 1 second. And let's turn our attention over to actually not Carlo Matti. Let's turn our attention over to have a look at pit stops, everything that's been going on in LMP2. I will say LMP2, I'll be interested to see what happens after the pit stops here, Jack, because that field was very close in certain places, but LMP2 has a habit after pit stops of just not getting boring, just spreading out a little bit.
Maybe so. Obviously, we did see a good battle for position number 3. I'm not sure whether strategy has ruined that a little bit. Daniel Newman, currently running in 3rd in that category, hasn't come down onto the lane yet. He was Antti Lavoska, so some drivers playing the very long game. And in fact, actually, that LMP2 class, for those drivers, they've only got another 10 or so laps left, Will. So they haven't got long in this event to get everything sorted. But I wonder whether the strategy is going to play off as Patrick Nettershid brings his number 38 LMP2 car down onto the lane this time.
Yeah, don't forget the iRacing Esports Network launches July 2nd on YouTube. It'll be us, our friends over, as we've got Antti Lavoska coming on towards pit road, ourselves, Racesport TV, as well as V8 Online and Live Sim Racing TV, that's LSR TV, for you and I. Hope, of course, to have more and more broadcasters on the iRacing Esports Network. We've been working on iRacing for the last month or so on that one, Jack, and I'll tell you one thing, it is going to be great to have so much iRacing content. This is the first.
Oh, sorry, Fabrice Cornelis has just made a mistake at turn number 15. Looks as though he got laid on the brakes, and Patrick Wolf, easy invitation to go up the inside. Sorry, Will, carry on.
Yeah, well, that's a battle for the race lead, and Cornelis has just lost the race lead then. We'll get ourselves a replay of that one for you right now, as Cornelissen is going to lose the race lead. Let's have a look then on board of him. We got him live on the right-hand side of your screen. We have him on replay on the left. Here we are, on board with Fabrice. Yeah, he just goes, what? He was behind a GTE car, and he just overshot the brake and had to turn the wheel the wrong way, turn right in the left-hand corner. That was down into turn number 16, and as a consequence of that, it's Patrick Wolf now who leads this motor race as we get into the back end of it with 17 minutes to go. And I will say one thing, I mean, we're doing a lot of work with iRacing over the last month or so to help them bring this one to fruition. I'm going to be doing a lot of work in terms of helping to get more and more content on the iRacing Esports Network. But, Jack, here's the important thing. Unless I'm very much mistaken, this is the first company-owned kind of like esports network for sim racing.
I believe it is, and it's great to see that iRacing are actually paving the way for that standard in the industry, and for sim racing it's still growing. It's growing by the day, and it's people who, I mean, I will admit, it was broadcasts, it was Racesport broadcasts that got me into iRacing in the first place 2 years ago. Well, here I am now, actually getting other people inspired to join iRacing. If you haven't, of course, go and try it out. Just go and try it out for a few months, and one day, you never know, you could be here on the lineup for Friday night prime time on Racesport TV. And of course, after the 2nd of July, it's going to be all in one place on iRacing Esports Network and everything. And there's so much content on there as well, Will. We're seeing so many other series joining us on the iRacing Esports Network. I know the V8 Scop series is coming along as well, and that is a fantastic series.
I will have to say, I have had so much admiration for the V8 Scop series. Ever since actually I've been on iRacing, one of the longest, most successful series that there is. The guys Scott Fountain, Jay Kennedy do a fantastic job there over at V8 Online, of course. We've got LSR TV to work that. As we've got Vincenzo Silvestri on towards pit road, anti-terrible stay up for lap. This could be very important. The work that Evan Pisoko does, of course, he's our commentator for the Peak Entry series powered by iRacing as well. Cisco Scaramuza, all those guys over there. And we are looking to get more and more people. I mean, there are so many good iRacing broadcasters these days. And when I started this game back in 2011, Jack, there were basically 2.5, we're going to say. Now, there's so many good broadcasters. Another fact that almost all of them have their own specializations as well, as Vincenzo is actually going to lose out to Rebecca Pauline on pit road.
Indeed so, and Battlefield lead still continuing. Fabrice Cornelis using his boost at turn number 10 on the run down to the hairpin. In fact, actually, that's lost him quite a lot of time, Will, because Patrick Wolf has now got an 0.8 of a second lead having that little bit more hybrid boost onto the straight. So unlucky there from Fabrice Cornelius. They did make contact a couple of laps ago through turn number 1, but indeed so. There's so many series on iRacing, the broadcasters as well. It's not the 2.5 that you had all those years ago, Will. There's so many different ones, and every single one provides a different level of entertainment and different series for your enjoyment. I know LSR TV specialise more in oval racing than they do in road racing, and it's great to see them all banding together and getting ready for one big channel to show everyone what iRacing is really about.
Yeah, having a look then at your lead battle as they head themselves again. This dip and then rise from the final corner towards turn number 1. Patrick Wall, Fabrice Cornelius on board then with Fabrice as they come down towards turn number 1 right now. Nothing yet, but the thing is, you talked about the boost down. How you harvest and how you utilize the boost is so important in LMP1. The other car that comes close, of course, is McLaren MP430 that we use in the World Championship Grand Prix series, but this is a completely different animal, Jack, and you really need to understand. But yeah, you can jump into an LMP1 car. You can drive and be moderately competitive immediately, but you need to understand how the car works in order to be fast. And I think that's what I love about this car, is that you've got 2 or 3 different stages of being able to utilize and be competitive in it.
Indeed, so coming off the corners, you've got that massive hybrid boost. If you've got a nice big train of cars ahead of you, especially onto this long back straight which you're seeing your leaders go down at the moment, it's a good opportunity to use up just a little bit of boost, gain that speed. You can have a good 50-60 kilometers an hour extra over GTEs and LMP2s just to get past and make sure you're clear for this tricky section. But of course, harvesting it is important. That each car does harvest it slightly differently. The Porsche does harvest it actually going in a straight line. If you get enough speed up, you will notice that your hybrid will recharge as your lead battle closes to around 0.2 of a second, coming into the triple right-hander of 16, 17, 18 for the 27th time. Fabrice Cornelius actually running very wide, around 7 laps remaining in this race. The Audi will only regenerate hybrid on the brakes, whereas the Porsche will actually regenerate it off the throttle and when you're on the power going at high speeds, which is an advantage of the Porsche, I'd say, but the Audi, they both have very different ways of deploying it and how you manage that hybrid. We saw it with Fabrice Cornelius. If you get it wrong, even by 3 or 4%, you can lose a lot of time.
Having a look at David Williams, currently P number 5 in GTE in that Commander Sim Sports car. However, he has not yet made a pit stop. And having a look then at battle for P number 6 on track, Rebecca Pauline and Mika Malley. Has Rebecca made an incident on the last lap? Because she was right there. Unless we have lost someone along the way. Yeah, we have. Let's Rebecca Pauline right now. Actually, no, it's the head of Vincenzo Silvestri we talked about. It's actually Mika McKellar, who hasn't yet pitted, as we go on board of him right now, who's running in P number 7.
Mika also looks like he has a bit of damage on that number 9 machine. He does indeed. It looks like rear left damage. Vincenzo Silvestri struggling to get past him, and actually this is letting Rebecca Pauline pull a little bit more of a gap as Anti-Tierra, Kevin Siggy bring themselves down onto the lane this time. I'd expect to see some GTEs coming down. Miko going to bring himself down onto the pit lane this time as well. So some GTEs actually going for the 25 lap run. That means they're only going to have about 5 laps of fuel needed to get to the end of this race.
Yeah, and let's have a look at Anti-Tierra then. He's back on track and ahead of Rebecca Pauline, actually by quite a bit of a margin after all is said and done. Our time in scoring makes it 5.6 seconds, and the reason for that was a fantastic entry there by Anti, but also the time lost, of course, battling it out last time around, and the fact that Anti only took 2.2 seconds less fuel.
He did take a lot less fuel because he's had, obviously, Rebecca Pauline. She's now 2 laps into this stint. And, of course, Anti-Tierra just 0.4 laps into this stint. So Anti-Tierra having to take a lot less fuel, running a lot longer. And that is what you want to do in these GTEs. If you can save a little bit of fuel, you have an opportunity to just sit in a draft for a few laps, like Anti-Tierra did, and save enough fuel to get you even 1 extra, 2 extra laps. That could be a lot of positions. And for Anti-Tierra, that is a big advantage for him. He's now going to move himself up the way. Obviously, David Williams, Bruto from Tabla. Those two are actually having a bit of a battle out on the circuit by the looks of it. They are going to be approaching lap number 25 of their stint. So they actually need to bring those cars down into the lane still, the number 7 and the number 6. I would expect to see those this time around because those cars must be running on fumes by now.
Yeah. Here's your top 8 then in each of your classes. Patrick Wolf leads away by 1.8 over Fabrice Cornelis. Tom Micklemore in 3rd place, and in Benefield in 4th. Ashley Owen rounds out your top 5. Then Victor Preto, Gorguez, and Mark Perez are your top 8. In LMP2, it is Carl Abati, Anthony Voska, Andrew Castro, Jacob Lehman. They are your top 4. Then Daniel Newman, Gerard Van Langveld, Kevin Chalk, and Patrick Nuttershield. They are your top 5, the top 8 even for the moment. And then in GTE, we have got ourselves leading the way, Jenny Vietro. Then Antiterror in 2nd place. 3rd place is Bruno Fontabla, although that is just updated because Fontabla has come on towards pit road. Rebecca Pauline now in 3rd, and Vincenzo Silvestri in 4th. Pablo Lopez in 5th. Bruno Fontabla in 6th. Williams and Siggy round out your top 8 as it stands. Battles, well, they have calmed down, but Pablo Lopez has got someone new to hunt for. That is the driver of Vincenzo Silvestri, and Lopez is on the charge.
Lopez is indeed on the charge, and that is what he needs to do. If he can make up just some more positions, it's more vital points towards this championship. And actually, Vincenzo Silvestri, I think he'll be kicking himself a little bit because he's obviously lost out to Rebecca Pauline. If he loses another position, he's gone from... he's up 5 positions away. He started by the looks of it. But for him, actually, that's a little bit more damage than he wanted to because he's losing points as one of the PRT machines makes his way through the traffic. That's Patrick Wolf, your current leader. Brice Cornelis is still there. That gap has now stretched out to 4 seconds, 3 seconds now. So obviously not being able to get the move done for Fabrice in the traffic, not playing into his hands.
Why can't I fast forward? Well, that's because this is live, and that means that by fast forwarding, Jack and I have invented a time travel machine and moved ourselves over to about half an hour from now, which would be great, Jack, except for the fact that the lottery thing's closed. We need to make that gap about 4 hours next time, please.
Yeah, I'm sure we can sort something out.
Williams behind Basti and Ramiz right now, P number 9 in GTE. I said it, I called it earlier on, Jack. Battles in LMP2, gone.
Indeed so. My timing screen usually glows red when we have cars in a battle, and well, for LMP2 I can see none, which is a shame because we did see some great racing and some drivers losing a lot of time on pit lane, which is of course unfortunate, but it's racing, what can you do? And sometimes strategy just does play into other drivers more, or some drivers more than others. In fact, actually, the only battles that I can see out on track at the moment are in your GTE field.
Yep. Yeah, they are. And they're at the rear of the GT field as well. William Stockman, for example, in a battle as it stands right now, scrapping it out with the driver of Yunus Vastamaki. And by the way, someone asked me if I'm going to go to the club Finland meetup they have every summer. I would do. I don't have an invite this year. So, Yunus Vastamaki, if you see this, I'll change the backman. Where's my invite? Thank you. Jack is speechless.
I am. I'm shocked that you haven't got an invite, as it looks as though Wim Stockman's actually going to try and make a move on the 27 Ava Simsport teams in Yunus and Vastamaki, but not going to be able to get it done to turn number 1 this time, and have to try again. Obviously, battle for P number 4 in GT is still going on. Pablo Lopez and Vincenzo Silvestri still going at it. Is actually, in fact, Pablo Lopez dropped off the back a little bit. Gap is now around a second. Bastien Remez, one of the drivers we said at the start of this race war, needed to make his way up through the positions. Still sitting nice and comfortably in 8th, but he has got the VRS Commander Simsport driver behind of David Williams.
The Wolf has sprung. Patrick Wolf has got a 6.5 second advantage now over Fabrice Cornelius in that battle for the overall race lead. And Patrick Wolf has just stretched his legs all of a sudden. And the gap is now 6.6 seconds as he comes down in towards 1 with less than 5 minutes to go. And well, this is the thing with Wolf. You give him a clear track and he will take it.
Yeah, he indeed will, and if you leave the slightest gap for any of these LMP1 drivers, for a lot of them that is actually an invitation of, yeah, do you know what, I'm going to put my nose up your inside and actually take that track position, because it's a case of you need to be able to get through and you do not want to be losing time. For Fabrice Cornelis, that's something that he's obviously had happen to him. He's lost 6.5 seconds now to Patrick Wolf. That's not something he wants to do, and that's purely down to traffic alone and not pace, because those guys still can run very similar lap times. Tom Mickelmore as well, another driver who's been affected by that, running down in third position, obviously 4 seconds behind. He has the Australian of Dan Benefield.
He does. And, well, Benefield has not had good luck in this series. Let's think about that for a moment, as here you can see him as he works himself towards, what's that, turn number 12 on track right now. But Benefield's going to finish 4th if everything stays where it is for the time being. Not a bad showing then today by the Benefield.
Indeed, so he's actually finished a race for once this season, and I know he had an incident at Nürburgring, he had another one at Road Atlanta. He's obviously still got another 2 laps to survive, 3 minutes and 45 seconds left in your motor race. But Dan Benefield, he's had quite a quiet day actually. He's moved up 2 positions, he's got his way through the traffic as he needed, and that number 19 machine is looking lovely and clean.
Yeah, so we're going to have a look down on board with Daniel Benefield. Let's check in one more time then with Fabrice Cornelis and our on-board feed with him that we've had today. Hi Fabrice, thanks for being a part of RaceSpots TV this Friday evening and the iRacing Le Mans Series. Of course, one thing that's worth noting is that the graphics that you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen, Fabrice does not have all of those on when he's racing. Some of them are what we like to call added on later on. Otherwise, I mean, it reminds me a bit of a NASCAR and TNT broadcast from about 2015, where you only had about 10% of the screen viewable. But the graphic that you have along the kind of middle top, the one that shows the time gained and lost, that is so more useful for drivers than people think it is when they first get into sim racing.
It is extremely useful because it can actually indicate to a driver, if you're on a clean lap, where you're losing time compared to your own lap or someone else's lap. And obviously with iRacing you can actually swap out the optimum lap time files and you can try someone else's files, try and beat their lap time, and that's always an interesting one to do if you're bored for half an hour. And again, it's just letting drivers know where they're losing time. There's a lot of driver aids in the form of graphical driver aids which these guys can use, and obviously even more applications available which can help them just drive that car even better. I know for a fact that I actually run quite a clever system of running a radar around my virtual mirror, so I know where cars are around me. It is extremely helpful in these LMP1 machines. Yeah,
as you can see that so far on that lap, Fabrice is currently half a second faster than what he's done previously. Yeah, and the API has been a great thing as well over the years. Of course, we couldn't survive without the API because everything that you see on your screen is basically thanks to the fact that that is open enough to us to allow us to do what we need to do in terms of graphics. As we're now going to go on board with the driver once I get the right graphic to actually show it properly. At some point, I've just completely forgotten what the graphic, what the button is to get the onboard camera. So we're just going to stay there we are. We're looking on board now with driver Wim Stockman. It's been a long day of writing a PhD, I'm sorry. But we're on board with Wim Stockman right now as he's battling for P number 11, and Uniso Vastamaki right now is ahead of him on track.
Yeah, it just looks as though he hasn't been able to get past Uniso Vastamaki at the moment. Still got another lap to be able to do it. He's not going to be lapped by Patrick Wolf, because Patrick Wolf is only now coming onto the straight. I don't think it's going to be enough time. He will get lapped by the number 24 machine of Sai Andra, currently running in 10th position in your LMP1 field. He has had a few issues, but Patrick Wolf, I must say, what a sterling job from him to be able to bring it home and actually not have the fuel worries that he had at Road Atlanta. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing, this is going to be the last lap of the event because there's only 20 seconds remaining now, and unless you're driving the version of the LMP1 machine that we're using at the Nordschleife, you can't get around this track, the rest of the track, in what is now 11 seconds. So we are down to the final 2 corners now of this motor race on board with the driver of Patrick Wolf in towards the final couple of corners. Final corner now for him. Turn number 20, Patrick Wolf. Pure Racing Team are your winners here today, as they will be your overall winners, and Patrick Wolf, PRT, celebrating another victory here this afternoon. Carlo Labatti then in the number 20 machine LMP2 car is currently on the run down towards turn number 12, and GTE is Gianni Vietto, who has just got himself, oh, let's call that most of the lap to go.
I would actually say he's
done.
got a couple more corners. Yeah, I was going to say he's going to cross the line before Carlo Labate. So
yeah,
quite a day for Gianni, actually. He's just been out of the front in that Pure Racing team. So Pure Racing team are going to win LMP1 and GTE.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's Gianni Vietto then heading himself then out of the final corner. Vietto, your winner in GTE today. And while Pure Racing team continue to impress, the Pure Driving School, of course, sponsoring that car, as we turn our attention back then to Carlo Labate coming out the final corner, final time. Labate, your winner in LMP2. Club Italia get themselves a victory then. Thrustmaster get themselves a victory. Movano get themselves a victory. I'll have a free pedal sit now for saying all of that one. So, Pure Racing team, 2 victories for them today and 1 for Movano, Jack.
Yeah, good showing by some of the great teams, some of the pro teams we see in iRacing, of course. A lot of the non-pro teams were showing off today, but Thrustmaster, Movano, Pure Racing team once again showing why they are the stalwarts and so good at endurance racing. We see them in other series. We've seen them again today doing a sterling job as David Williams just decides to expire his motor on his Porsche 911 RSR.
Yeah, and that is Fabrice. You can see him there on your screen. He's not talking, or he might be talking, but he's not talking to us at the very least then as well. We will show you your final race result in just 1 moment's time, ladies and gentlemen, here on Racebot TV and on iRacing Live. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a minute and a half.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers.
Oh, there we go!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside of Hookie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'm never go back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Welcome back here to Racebot TV on iRacing Live, and don't forget the iRacing Esports Network launches on Monday. Join ourselves, V8 Online, LSR TV. Let's make sim racing the best it can possibly be. At least 3 networks. We're going to expand it as much as you possibly can to have more races, more entertainment, more action every day of the week as we welcome you back, and we have got ourselves right now interview time. And Jack stood by with Fabrice Cornelis.
I am indeed. Fabrice, first of all, congratulations, second position in LMP1. And I just want to know what happened coming down to turn number 14 and 15 and just let Patrick Wolf get his way past.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting. I locked my brakes a bit, like I was kind of surprised. This GT was not really on speed anymore. I locked my brakes a bit, and when you do it in this car, you instantly go like 5 meters straight. So yeah, I had no chance on turning in for like the next 2 seconds. So yeah, it was a good pass of Patrick.
And of course, it's not been great for you so far this season. COTA is obviously one of these circuits you have to be very careful with traffic, and Road Atlanta is tough. Is COTA just as tough?
COTA is a bit better. It's a very wide track. There's a lot of overtake opportunities, and also when you like kind of feel there's gonna be a contact, you can always run wide because there's a lot of like track. Oh yeah, on the left and the right. So yeah, it's pretty easy to manage traffic compared to Road Atlanta.
And of course, obviously looking forward to the rest of the season. We have some great circuits coming up your way. For everyone at home, the schedule is available on iRacing. And of course, I think the drivers will probably know it best than all of us. And Fabrice, obviously the 24 Hours of Le Mans is coming up in August, the 18th and 19th of August, if I remember correctly. Are you going to be running in it with Pure Racing Team?
Yeah, sure, of course. We're gonna try our best to get a good result in that one. Really looking forward to that race. Yeah.
And before we let you go and celebrate with your team, who gets it done for you today?
Just Pure Racing Team in general, like for getting trust in me. Patrick for the setup was again good. Spuzu, Otterhals, Wallmeyer, and God, I'm gonna do this again. iRacing. There we go. And you guys for broadcasting, of course.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, Fabrice Cornelis second place today in the LMP1 field, bringing that PRT car home after a small mistake, meaning he lost out on a chance at the win.
He did. We have got ourselves literally 90 seconds to do 2 interviews and wrap this one up. Danny Betterfield, you finished the race. Talk us through it.
I had a clean race. It was actually quite boring, to be honest. I knew it was quicker than Victor because I had a couple of issues entering server, so my quality wasn't my best. So I got by him early, and then I think Ashley had damage, and I drove by him and pulled away pretty easily. So a nice quiet race for myself.
Well, quieter than what you've had so far this season, of course. Next time out, it's Spa. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, especially at night. So flashing lights will actually do something, which will be nice.
Thank you very much there, Danny Betterfield. Gianni Vietcho, well, your race didn't go as planned here today. 9th place GTE. Very quickly, talk us through it.
Yeah, it was pretty fun race. It was pretty calm. I had pretty much everything under my control. And yeah, I'm thanks to the Pure Driving School for the setup, because I used the setup which is in the Pure Driving School, and as the result shows, it was pretty good to drive. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much there, Gianni Vietcho. Next time out, it will be, I would say, under the lights at Spa, Jack. Not really under the lights, because there are no lights.
Well, there's a couple of places on the circuit you will find lights where we have the pit complex.
Yes, when I'm in the campsite using my lighter to light a cigarette.
Yeah, that's pretty extreme. The rest of the circuit is quite literally lit by the cars on the circuit.
Yes. So catch us for that one. Same time, not the same place. Could be on the iRacing Esports Network. But of course, we also here on iRacing Live on RaceWhat TV. That guy is Shaq Stars. I am Will Vincent. Thank you so much for being a part of our coverage here tonight. It's on our trackcam22.com, Andres Warner and One Design, Simon Grossman, Absolutely.com, Nick Thisson, RaceWhat TV Live timing and scoring. We say thank you to you, and we say good night from Circuit of the Americas.